Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Steve Stuckey, one of the Palmdale School District EdTech coaches. I'm sitting here in the dining room, not at school, with my colleague Dan Hopman.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you listen to this. Hope you guys are staying busy and trying to figure things out.
This is one of the ways that we're staying busy. We are concerned about what's going on. We do think forward about what life is going to be like for not only us, but all the teachers out there, not just in Palmdale School District, but worldwide at this point.
And it's been interesting watching some of our own colleagues here in Palmdale online who we usually don't get to see online because they're usually doing their own school stuff, but now they're trying to figure out what's next. So it's kind of cool to see them interacting with us through our Chromebook Academy Facebook group, through our PSD Instructional Coaches Facebook group. So it's really fun to see people really trying to figure things out without having to wait for someone else to tell them how to do it.
Well, this is unprecedented. This is something that is probably going to change a lot of what we do educationally.
And I think for the better, which is the best thing possible.
For sure, for sure. So our current situation in Palmdale is that we are off this week, and next week being spring break, but week 3, based on the calendar that was sent out from the district, is that teachers will return. And I'm only assuming then, because it's without students, that right, some planning will definitely be involved.
I imagine you'll be doing some planning. Maybe it's their opportunity to get target solutions done. But really, I think the planning is going to be the key, because you got to think, these at least 2 weeks with 1 week of spring break in there, that you're going to have to probably figure out, what did you guys miss? What do you need to bring in? What do you need to get caught up on? Social contracts. I mean, you name it, because we don't know what week 4 is going to look like.
And what's really neat to see is that there are groups of teachers in grade levels that have already jumped on this. They're already thinking ahead and going gung-ho. We need to get things posted, and some kids are eating it up. We heard from one of our other coaches that a teacher reported that some of their more, what kind of student would you call those? The overachievers?
Overachievers, yeah.
Maybe so,
yeah.
That just eat up whatever is put online. They know that they're sitting at home, and there's not a whole lot to do.
And good for the parents, too, for encouraging that, because we know that a lot of our parents have to work, and for some of them, it's not like us where we get to go home and where we get to stay at home for that work. So they're encouraging that with their kids as well.
Hey, one of the benefits might be is that video games might start to get boring for the kids, and they're going to want to do some other things.
Very true. And what's really interesting about that, Steve had posted in our PSD website, our PSD Instructional Coaches Facebook group, he had put up there about, it said, I'll read it to you.
I did steal it from somebody else. I did.
I know you did. But it says, attention teachers and parents, Google Classroom works on the PS4 and Xbox One browsers for kids with no computers. And so he posted this up yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, and within a couple hours, we had thousands of people who had interacted with it. As of right now, we're at almost 27,000 people who have seen this post, which to me is outstanding.
Yeah, somehow it's gotten out there about the Palmdale School District EdTech coaches and all of you. But, the thing that got me about that post is a lot of kids say, oh, we don't have internet, or we don't have a device at home. We don't have a computer at home. Well, you do have a device at home. A lot of them who say they didn't actually are playing these games online with others.
And so I tried it out. My sons both have, not both, but they have an Xbox One. So I downloaded the browser, the internet browser, logged into Google Classroom, and it actually is a pretty cool thing. I'm sitting there trying to control Google Classroom with the controllers for games. It's kind of weird.
On a big screen.
On a huge screen, yeah.
And the kids will probably be pretty dexterous with that. Is that the right word? Dexterous? Dexterous? Yeah, one of those. They're better at that than I am at even saying the word.
Yeah. It was very clean how that works, and the fact it's a Microsoft product, which is kind of funnier, being that we're trying to access Google stuff. But that's neither here nor there.
All right. So let's move on and talk a little bit about planning and those things that when you are thinking about what you want to post online or in some cases make packets of, one of my suggestions would be the KISS method. Don't expect too much from the start of either yourself or your students. You need to build capacity both individually with yourself. You need to build that capacity of how to do things online with your students and your grade level PLCs. So if you haven't been using online classroom tools like Google Classroom, Hapara, start slow and then rely on others. And of course, you've got the EdTech coaches that you can seek help from.
And so you have 4 coaches ready to go. I mean, literally, we've been answering emails the last couple days, clarifying things. Use us. That we're still willing to do stuff, even though, quote unquote, we're off work. But we really aren't. We're still working.
Go explore Google Meet and try it out, and send us an invitation through a calendar invite that we might be able to accept and meet with you on Google Meet.
We'd be happy to do that. Start thinking about where you can get your ideas. If you're not sure what to do, Google it. Check on Twitter. We talked on our last podcast about developing your PLN, your professional learning network. Twitter, Facebook, your own tech coaches, other colleagues. Like I said at the very beginning, it's amazing to me the colleagues that we didn't see online interacting with us, and now all of a sudden that they are.
And we're getting some really great ideas too. Some teachers, things that I haven't thought of about how to put that worksheet into Google Slides. I don't remember exactly who that was, but it was just a great idea.
It was.
Make the worksheet the background on the slide. You can adjust the slide's dimensions basically so that the worksheet fits, and then add the text boxes where they're supposed to go.
Seems like a no-brainer to me.
I'm just upset that I didn't think of it.
I agree. I know we've done it with Google Docs, but we haven't done it with slides. That's why I thought it was interesting.
So you're off this week. You're off next week. It won't hurt to start doing some planning, or more specifically, maybe even diving into things like your benchmark universe and see what it can do digitally. Your TCI as well.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to sit there and say, okay, if I were a parent at home, what would I want my kids to be able to do based on them not being in school? So start thinking on that as well. It doesn't have to all be interactive online, but it always benefits.
But remember, keep it simple.
Absolutely.
Keep it simple, keep it small, keep it light, for sure.
Absolutely.
So all this planning and talk about getting work to the kids, I'm going to have a little thing to say at the end here today, but that might be missing part of the point. I think connecting with the kids using things like Flipgrid. If you've used Flipgrid before, taken the classes, have your kids already in on it, that is a great place for you to connect up with them.
And one of the programs you've heard us say, I think last time and this time, Zoom is another really great one where you can have a Zoom meeting with your kids. Make sure you record the conversation because you don't want anything weird to happen. But the idea is that you're connecting with them face to face. I mean, phone calls are great, don't get me wrong. But so they can see that you're in the same spot as they are. They're at home, you're at home.
And connecting up with not only your kids and your families, but you can connect up with us as well. We are in the middle of creating what I call a virtual meeting Google site. And what will be posted there will be our calendars. And on it, you will see calendar events posted, and when you click on it, you will see a Google meeting link that you can click on and join the meeting. We just asked that a couple things. If you ever join a meeting with everybody else, a lot of people can come in. So we want you to be patient. You might not be the first in line, and you want to start asking your questions right away, but listen in to what's going on. We as moderators will acknowledge you when you come in and wait for you. So just be polite. Others are in that meeting. And be patient with us because doing it this way really is new to us too.
That's a new world. And if you can just give us that little bit of time just to kind of get things set. So if you do come into a meet and you see that we're working with someone else, have a seat. We'll get to you as soon as we can.
That's right. It won't be as long as a doctor's office.
That is true. We promise that much. Hey, so I know I've been getting a lot of texts and phone calls and So have we heard anything? Everyone thinks that we're kind of in the know, and we're really not.
We are not
We
the
are not in the
district.
know.
We are not the district.
teachers.
We're teachers.
Yeah, we are teachers. And so what we're going to tell you is that as of right now, the current expectations are what they are. So right now we're still sort of in that weird week right now where, yeah, we're not really at work, but I know that I've heard about principals saying, hey, don't forget, you still need to get your grades done. I would say that's probably a good expectation to make sure you get those done for progress reports. But keep in mind, and I know Steve said this a couple times, is expect the best, but plan for the worst. So explain a little bit what that means.
Well, we're going to hope that at the end of week 3, we all get to come back, but you've been watching the news and that may not happen. So in that case, we got to plan for what might happen in a worst case scenario. If we're planned for that, we'll be good to go, but we won't have to worry. And if we don't have to use it, that would be awesome.
And make sure you're still keeping in touch with your grade level teams, because this would be a good opportunity for you guys to get on the same page about what those expectations might be with the best and with the worst situation.
And keep looking at your emails, because for sure the district's going to put out some communications quite often. So keep your eyes open for
Absolutely.
those. So if things change, and we know that they've changed rapidly, day by day, hour by hour, it almost seems so cliche, minute by minute sometimes, right?
Or my favorite term this whole time is it's a fluid situation. So just keep that in mind as we go through. It really is a fluid. I mean, Friday we started the day with, oh no, I don't think we're going to go off. By the end of the day, we were off. So it's a fluid. It is literally changing moment by moment.
It's nothing to sneeze at.
So one of the things that I tried to do yesterday.
By the way, we're keeping at least a 6-foot distance in the studio. All right.
Absolutely. And we did wash for 20 seconds before our hands are nice and clean, so we're not sharing anything back and forth. One of the things that I tried doing online with Facebook is interacting with just on my own personal Facebook, interacting with some of my friends that have kids. And so I went live on Facebook yesterday and did an activity that I did in class back when I was in the classroom called Stories with Holes. And so the kids got to ask questions, and it was an interactive critical thinking activity. And I know Steve has a great activity that would be fun to do with you guys right now.
Well, here's something that you can do, and you can do this recorded on Flipgrid. You can do it on Facebook Live if people are following you. And if you do this as a recorded video and put it in the classroom, for those of you doing some algebra, they can write out the algebraic expression for this. So let's stop and let's do this little trick. Think of a number.
Got it.
You got it? Add 3.
Got it.
Do you need any paper, Dan?
I'm good. I got my fingers. I got toes if I need them.
All right. Double that.
All right.
Subtract 4.
Got it.
Cut that in half.
Got it.
Subtract your original number.
Okay.
Your result is 1.
Dang it.
That is correct.
That is correct.
So you can take these little tricks. You can do some fun stuff, find it, have them actually write out the expression, the algebraic expression, how it comes out to 1. Let them figure that out. They can turn that in Google Classroom. A written explanation.
And I love the fact that it's interactive. That's why I like doing the Stories with Holes, the different math games like this.
Well, yeah, that's actually inspired me because, I have an inquiry lesson sitting in my office that we can definitely do live, and I'm interested in doing that.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, maybe we pull that off after this.
All right. Sounds good.
So we did post on our Chromebook Academy, and Dan went Facebook Live before this podcast began to get some questions that people might have about the current situation, EdTech, what the expectations might be, and so on. So Dan, one of the questions was, I don't even know where to start with this. And will you be on sites on March 30th?
So the first thing, I'm going to go back to the KISS method, and that's just relax. I know the person that posted this had a big exclamation point at the end. I think if they had the choice, they probably would have bolded it, underlined it, changed its color. The first thing I would say is, before you start with anything, is plan. Make sure you know what you want your kids to do. As far as being on sites on March 30th,
No.
No.
But we will be available virtually.
Absolutely.
So we will be at your sites. That'll be via a link that we send out. And we talked about Google Meet a few minutes ago. That is one of the ways, either that or Zoom, that we will be connecting with you guys.
But if you do feel like you want some more information now, shoot one of us an email, Dan Hopman, Steve Stuckey, Melissa Shields, Jerry Sloan. Any one of us would be happy to talk to you about, hey, okay, here's where you start. But really, it's kind of a loaded question because there really isn't an easy way to say, here's where you start.
There's many ways that you can do this, and we want to really try to bring it down as simple as possible, as light as possible, so that nobody is over anxious about any of it, whether it's you, parents, or students.
The next question that came in was, what work do they turn in and how do I grade it?
Well, once you know how to post assignments on Google Classroom, specifically, that's one we're going to talk about, or Hapara, and you know how to then access that to put in grades, that is one way that can happen. Grading is up to you about whether it's total points and however you go about it. You can even build rubrics within Google Classroom. But again, I want to just sort of say that maybe right now, the grade's not the most important thing. I would say that feedback is far more important than a grade.
And I would say that also, going on the feedback idea, is that the student kind of gets the idea that my teacher cares how well I do right now, whereas when it's the grade, and I know we can get on a whole topic on grading versus feedback, but for right now,
and we've done that. Go check out one of our old podcasts. Right.
But with grades and in this type of a situation, almost seems like there's a finality to it. It's final. There's nothing that the kid can do any more of. Whereas with the feedback, they can improve on what they're doing, and that's what we care about right now.
Right. So you might want to rethink about how you actually have things posted. There was a great site that I found that you might want to look up. It was called Wonder Day Project. Inquiry-based projects where it is student-driven based upon questions that they want to do. It reminded me a lot of the old 20 time or passion projects that some teachers have done in their classrooms. So that's not necessarily just one specific assignment, but one that can be worked on over time.
And that'd be an interesting assignment to do right now in this time anyway, as a genius hour or 20 time or passion project. Really kind of get an idea of what your kids are passionate about right now.
The questions are probably out there, what they're really wondering about.
Yeah. I know there's a website called Wonderopolis. That's another one where they actually take kids' questions and create really cool videos on them. Let's see here. Can I send them their Gmail and password to their Google Classroom accounts on ClassDojo?
I would say that's fine as long as it's not broadcast with everybody's to everybody.
Yeah, and if you're using Remind, maybe send it to the Remind, a direct message to the parents. And again, if you need help with either one of those, make sure you ask.
Another one was, what are the best or user-friendly video recording apps to record lessons for students? They said, I use Screencastify, but the free version has limitations.
I actually love Screencastify so much that I pay for the pro version. I think it's $29 for a year. For me, it's completely worth it. But that's also the fact that I'm a coach and I use it for that type of deal. So that's a great one. If you choose to purchase it, that's up to you. But other than that, iPad has a great way of using the Explain Everything app or using the screen
Show Me app.
Show Me app is another one. So Explain Everything, Show Me. The iPad also has a screen recording feature.
Right. A lot of people don't know that. You got to kind of dig into it. So I suggest you Google how to record your screens. But if you just have a simple whiteboard app for your iPad, and you then start recording the screen, it will record everything you say and everything you write on that whiteboard, and you have an instant video.
And with almost all these, you can actually bring in PDFs and actually annotate on top of the PDF. So if you're doing a Eureka math lesson, you can actually write onto what would be the kids' work as well. So there really is a lot of things you can do with it. It's just a matter of how you want to, really approach it. Is it something you want to do on a computer, or is it something you want to do on an iPad?
So those were the questions that we had. And if you have any more, again, email us, post it on our PSD Chromebook Academy or our PSD EdTech Facebook pages. We'd be happy to read those. We've been staying pretty connected from that. But one of the things that I read recently, because we have a lot of time to sit around, and I've been online quite a bit, one of the EdTech heroes out there is a lady named Casey Bell, who has a website called Shake Up Learning, and she had interviewed a teacher whose name was Jennifer and evacuated from China back in January and is now teaching remotely. And she had some interesting insight as to the difference between grace and grades. Now, the blog was titled, "Grace is Better Than Grades." So one of the definitions of grace would be called courteous goodwill. And we're not seeing a lot of that overall, although my wife did say people were being friendly in the stores for the most part, but I've heard other stories as well. Most of the social media right now, if you're online, you know it's all about the virus. And if you're looking up about education or you're somehow associated with education, there is a huge emphasis on how we will remotely or virtually teach kids. Probably so much that you're just getting anxious with the overabundance of resources. Now, think about this, because many of us take what we do very seriously. We are also focusing really on the tech, but that might really divert our priorities, because this situation that we're in right now is about people. It's about our students. It's about our families. It's about our colleagues. And we need to extend grace. Grades, not so much. This moment in education is unparalleled to anything that we've experienced before. Allow yourself not to be perfect in implementing new things. Allow students to learn through the struggle with your gracious feedback. Feedback is more effective than a grade anyway. Checking in with your students will probably be far more beneficial than the worksheet you sent home or the posted assignment in Google Classroom. Let your calm, your kindness, your empathy, your love, and grace be more contagious than this virus. This is not a time to be anxious. It is a time for opportunities for all of us to slow down and to focus on people rather than work or assignments. Take a deep breath, but more than 6 feet away from another person. Relax and look for the good things now and the great things that can happen later. Feel free to contact any of your EdTech coaches if you'd like to just talk, plan, learn something new. We are here for you.
Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, and we'll talk to you next time.
It was great being here with you. I think we're going to do more of these.
I like these.
Because this is fun.
It's
actually.
a blast.
All right. Let us know what you think.